Okay. So I am so happy having you on my podcast. We met about a few years ago, but I have to say, like, meeting you today after all that, I feel like I'm meet somebody completely new. And I think your response is like, yeah, you
are completely meeting someone new. I would say, if anything, just a much more elevated version of the same person. And even as we were preparing for this, I was thinking, should I like reintroduce myself to Evie so she knows who she's talking to? Because it's someone else, but it's in the most beautiful way.
No, I love it. I mean, I think, well, even when I first met you, I already think you were amazing. So I can't imagine how much you evolved since then I met you. I remember when I met you, the impression I had was you were a single mom, and then you were like raising kids on your own. And you also have a very successful fashion line. I'm a girly girl. So when someone say they're a fashion designer, I was like, wow, that's so cool.
Yeah.
And I remember you showed me some of your design, and it was just beautiful. It's like goddess, it's like very girly, very feminine. And then I remember you also teach dance class, and I love to dance. And then what made your class so special, I remember, was like teaching women to embrace their goddess within, and it's the way how they move, do exercise, and to feel, to me, when I see the dance, is bring the sensuality into that, even into exercise. And then when we got in contact, you're like, oh, I have to be off the grid for a while.
It's a routine. It's a part of my life. When my spirit team tells me I have to go off the grid, I'm off the grid. But it's really off the communication with social world. It's off the connection to too much technology so I can connect with the inner technology. So it's really their way of saying it's time for another massive upgrade. And a lot of times it's very intense spiritual work. And then I come back and I'm like, time to re-meet the world.
No, and then you were telling me that you are going to the process to be a shaman. And then I was like, what? This is so fascinating to me, because I feel like there's multiple of you. I'm like, which Salwa I'm talking to, So I'm like, okay, I have to interview you even more. First of all, I want to catch up with you all this year. Like, what have you involved, to even a greater version of yourself, and how you even get there, and what happened? What was the story?
I don't even know what month it is right now. I think it's almost August. Yes.
Oh yeah. Oh my God. Can you believe it?
This is my first interview since coming back from my last off the grid moment, which was 4 months. And I mean, what happened then? I hosted my first big Temple of Light retreat, and that was just transformational for so many women. And speaking of fashion and dance and all of that, what I've really learned through my journey is that those are all instruments. And like you said, fashion speaks to you. So I understand why in my earlier years of wanting to empower humanity, it started with women and it started with fashion, because that was just something so accessible to me that I just have a natural talent for. But as my spirit team was elevating my gifts to be able to empower not just women, but it does start with the divine feminine. It's so important to take care of the divine feminine, because then that will take care of the masculine.
See what you just said. I think that's really important, because
it's so important,
especially nowadays.
Yes, and it's a lot of people are getting it a little bit wrong. It's not that we need women to become better than men, to beat men. No, we need women to rise in their own divine feminine energy so that we can balance the entire planet. And men need to allow women to rise in their divinity and to lead the way. And that's something that's so important for ascension. But if women get too much in their masculine, they're like, I'm going to make as much as you. I don't need a man. And all the stories, we're actually going back into the same karmic cycle that puts us in the place where we have to compete. We need to work together. And so being in divine union where the divine feminine can lead is where we're being led. And I realized, okay, I started with fashion and dance are two things that women love. And so I understand that for me, it was about not getting attached to the instruments and the physical manifestations of the work. It was just, you're good at fashion, you're good at dance, start to work with that. And then eventually it got leveled up to more energy work and to light code activation and to channeling and to things that...
Wait. When does this come to you? It wasn't... It wasn't. Did that came to you when I met you, or when did this happen? This is like
I ordered it on Amazon. It arrived last week, and now we're in business.
I mean, seriously, right?
Yeah. Well, okay.
Tell me. I'm like
2020 was a massive pivotal year, but I will say I was born with a lot of psychic gifts that I, as a kid.
When you were little.
Yes, when I was little. I had a very intense connection with Yeshua. I knew him as Yeshua.
Who's Joshua?
Ascended Master Jesus. But I knew him as Yeshua because I had remembrance of past lives with him, and he introduced himself as light being. It wasn't like physical, as Yeshua. So I'm like, this is my pal, Yeshua. We talked, we communicated a lot.
When you were little?
As a kid, telepathic communication. So when I went into Catholic school,
oh my God,
I was like, I know that guy, and they have it half right. But I thought that was my calling to be a nun. So for the longest time as a kid, I wanted to be a nun because I was going to Catholic school. They were teaching about this Jesus, who I knew as Yeshua. I'm like, oh, I guess that's my calling, to be a nun. And then, clearly not a nun.
I'm like, you did a beautiful, sensual,
I'm a modern day nun.
Yeah.
So eventually, after those encounters, I did have some extraterrestrial encounters for 2 years of my life.
You did?
Yes, every night. And it was my perception as a kid, like I thought that I was being abducted. And I took a lot of...
Oh my God, we met in Santa Fe, New Mexico.
Oh yeah. And that whole trip, I didn't sleep a single night because these places with a lot of energy, like I just cannot sleep. It's too much energy.
Oh my God, you didn't even share that with me. Oh.
But it's kind of not a conversation. Hey, did you know I have a relationship with aliens? Do you like extraterrestrials? Let's go talk about it over cocktails.
It must be crazy.
It's just not the thing because so many people have stories around that. And it's really they're just star family. They're just like light beings. But at the time, as a kid, I didn't really know much about it. It wasn't until 2020 where I went into my spiritual awakening journey, like really. Like
what hit you when you
once I got my divorce. So I initiated the process of divorce in 2017 in the end because I was in a marriage where I was having to suppress all my gifts, all my true connection to be like in this routine box to fit in, to be able to go to like traditional church and know the Bible and raise children a certain way. And so I was really conforming in a way that was just suppressing my soul expression. It wasn't until I took that act of faith and knowing that, okay, it's not that I don't have love for my ex, father of my 3 children and one that was stillborn. It's not that I don't have appreciation. It's that I'm not being my authentic self. I'm not serving my mission. I'm not allowing him to be himself. It is time to complete this, not fail it, not, just complete it. So I completed that relationship.
That took a lot of courage, by the way.
A lot of courage because I had family from both sides, super traditional, that if you get a divorce, well, you're the devil.
And
so
raised
I'm like,
by Catholic.
Okay, well, then
family.
Give me a red bodysuit and call me the devil because I'm getting a divorce. Yeah. This is not serving. Like if you have to fake love to be married, that's not a marriage that I think God would design. That's not what I perceive as love. So for 3 years, dealing with legalities, like it's tough and getting attacked from all angles. And on top of it, family not understanding why. What does he do? Does he cheat on you? Does he drink? And they didn't understand that sometimes relationships are complete because they're no longer frequency aligned. I am evolving. My frequency is a certain place. His is a certain place. And we are just not attuning. And it's time to complete it. And so I had to kind of just take that bold act of faith, which paid off. And when it was final in 2020, right before COVID, my spirit team told me, you need to go into hibernation mode. We call it hermit mode when they put me off the grid or send me to do work. And they told me not to renew my lease. I had a showroom. Don't renew it. Go into like home, give yourself like basically a bubble and just go into your spiritual practice. And like 3 weeks later, they announced the COVID hit, and everybody was put into, couldn't go anywhere.
Yeah.
I even forgot the word. It feels like forever ago. What was that word? Quarantine.
Quarantine. Yes, I know.
I'm like, what is that word where you can't go anywhere and there's no toilet paper? And just, it was just like, wow, I knew this was going to happen.
So your spirit team,
my spirit team told me. And because I listened and I didn't renew this lease for the showroom, which was so fabulous. Everybody thought, oh, wow, your business is doing great. You have a showroom in Cherry Creek and, things that look successful that you kind of want to keep going to not look like you failed. I'm like, okay, if I don't renew, it's going to look like it didn't succeed.
Like, why would you suddenly not renew? It doesn't make sense. Yeah.
But I didn't know that code was going to happen. I didn't know why I was getting that guidance. I didn't know why I had to move out of there, but I did it.
Yeah.
And then it happened. And from then on, I had the most out-of-body experiences, so many pivotal moments. And, I could go into all the storytelling of them, but I won't. But I will share one if I can get a little mystical. And there was one that I remember.
On my show.
Okay.
Yeah.
There was one that I remember so clearly.
No one think I'm the only crazy one. So
oh my gosh.
On my show.
No.
Perfect.
It's kind of like crazy is the new normal. Now, if it's not crazy, it's just not normal.
Yeah.
So there was one night and I had just done, I had read a bunch of books that were really activating to me, like Sophia Code, Path of Empowerment, just all these books that to me, I was like, okay, finally I'm seeing and writing things that I know, but I just needed to see them somewhere. And then there was a night where my guys were like, we want to gift you something, but I was instructed what to do to receive the gift. And I was a little bit, okay, what is the gift? And I'm going to admit, this is kind of embarrassing. I'm scared of the dark because I've had so many things happen at night, especially as a kid. I would see so much. Yeah. Now I see stuff and it doesn't scare me because I know what I'm looking at. But at the time I was a little bit, I'm not scared, but it's just like, I don't want to see it. So light on. And I was told, sleep with the light off, on your back, turn on a candle, and just, fall asleep meditating, and you will receive your gift. So I did that, and it was hard for me to completely be in the dark with just a candle, and I don't sleep on my back. I usually go to my side.
Yeah.
And so I accidentally turned over because it's just natural to me. And I remember in the middle of the night feeling like a gentle push on my back. I was put on my back. And then this gust of wind that I was supposed to say that I wanted to receive it. They're like, if you want to receive it, this is the breath of the Holy Spirit. And I was like, I want to receive it. This gust of wind entered my room and I levitated off my bed. And I was like, what is happening? But in the most beautiful way. And that moment was what shifted everything. It was like the most biggest gift of all gifts that just kind of reactivated everything from my childhood, everything that had been put on hold for me to be in my marriage, birthing my children, raising them. It was like, okay, we are going to just pick up where we left off. And I'm like, I don't know who I could tell this to. I slept levitating over my bed with the gust of the Holy Spirit. No one's going to believe this.
You're like, people could think I'm crazy.
Yeah, 4 years later, I'm starting to talk about it because now more weird things have happened.
Thank you for sharing.
So now I'm like, there's really no limit now. I think that these things are meant to be shared because people are meant to be open to their own experiences where it's really your angels, your light beings, whoever is waiting to assist you from behind the veil, they're just waiting. But
but you need to have that mind to be open.
And also not judge it.
Yeah.
Just because others might, they will. They probably will. Doesn't mean that you should judge it because it is a gift. If it wasn't a gift, it wouldn't come at the most divine timing when you're asking. So another thing is asking, saying, I'm ready. I know there's more. I'm ready to step into more. Tell me what you want me to do so that I can serve better. And that's kind of where I was at.
It was beautiful. So this is did I met you yet?
No, because it was around the same time. It was probably a couple months before.
Oh my God. Yeah. I know. That's why you can't even tell people I didn't sleep every night when I'm missing up fake with so much energy. Be like, what?
No. And it was so great because 2020, there was no pressure to go out and see friends, to do anything. So it gifted me this time of I can receive these experiences and I don't have to tell anybody. Not that you ever have to tell anybody, but when I had a business that was very social. I was constantly hosting trunk shows and dance classes, and I love connecting with people on social media. So it was a moment to just come back to self and connect with the versions of me in other realms that were ready to just rise into the mission. And the mission's been unfolding for the past 4 years. And now it's really wow, I can't even believe everything that has happened, but I can't wait to start talking about it more. And I love working with women that are ready to step into their own magic and medicine because that is what's going to heal this planet. Yeah,
tell me about that retreat you were doing in Joshua Tree because I was I was very interested, but I think I have a calendar conflict.
Yeah,
because it was such a show notice.
It was not aligned at that time, but it would be. And I did one in November. Now I'm these are just going to be a part of what I do because ceremony is so important. But that one's the Temple of Light. And I thought it was going to be a one-time thing. And now I realize I'm already on my way to do the next one in Florida after this, and it's going to be an ongoing thing. And it's really about activating your remembrance. Everything that you need to learn is not something you're going to really seek out there. It's inside of you. It's encoded in your DNA. And the way that I work, a lot of my energy work that I was anointed to remember, it's light code activation. So I'm able to channel the light codes that really do activate you at a cellular level that will bring your remembrance. And before you know it, like some of these women I have one that's an energy worker. She does Reiki. Her hand's been just like other level, and she's just remembering ways to heal that she hasn't been taught. So a lot of my mission with the Temple of Light is spiritual education, but also activating remembrance, because everything that we need is already inside of us. And so we obviously come to this planet and we have to survive and we have to get educated. So we're trained to have certifications, to learn, take tests and all of that. But really, the way that we're going to step into our magic is remembering and decoding and activating what's already in us. We've been downloaded. And so a lot of the time too with these retreats, I make space for obviously healing. I love dancing. I'll put breath work in there and things like that. But the big gift lies in the ceremony and when I'm able to bring you your light codes that your team thinks you're ready for. It's almost like, you know, when you have your phone and you plug it in, it's ready for an upgrade. It's like your upgrade.
Oh, I like that.
And you don't have to process it
analogy.
Here. There's no cognitive way to process it. It is a language. It is like star language, and it is something that you don't even have to understand. You just have to be open to receiving and ready to receive.
So anybody who can go to this retreat, do they need some kind of basic skill? I know this sounds really like silly question, but
no, that's a great question.
I'm sure that like my audience was like, first of all, what's the temple light? And then the second thing would be like, oh, do I need a certain skill? What if I don't have any special talent? Like,
right.
You know what I mean? So, yeah.
So the biggest thing is really a screening. For me to screen the readiness, because the readiness lies at a cellular level. It's not necessarily going to be in your mind. So you might be a stay-at-home mom and you might not be deep into all these books and knowledge, but you'd be surprised how much some people are so ready for activation that have not been in this awakening journey for long, because it's a cellular thing. So a lot of it is screening. You know, I do have people apply, or word of mouth, or like referrals. So the women that were at my Temple of Light and Joshua Tree, like one of them's hosting her own private one in Miami. And so I know that I can entrust her to do her own screening. And kind of like that, I want to keep it very safe and intimate and sacred. And so it's important not to just put it out there for everybody. But there's nothing to do. You just fill out this form. We have a conversation and we'll know. And if it doesn't feel like it's time yet, we'll also be able to share a little bit of why. And it's not that it's not a no, it's just not in a divine timing right now. And that's okay.
Okay. And then, so the first one, how that was in Joshua Tree.
Yeah.
How was that experience?
Oh my gosh. Well, it was amazing. And I'm learning, it's hard for me to not want to share everything, but the things that are in sacred space, obviously have to kind of be very, very held in that way. So I can't talk about some of those things, but it was, I'll say this, you know, there were a couple women that this was their first time stepping into ceremony, like really doing deep work like that. And they went as far back as remembering where they come from, seeing like past lives. And there was one woman in particular too, that she came with a physical condition that I was like, please, like, I asked people, like, name your miracle, like come very prepared and with intention that, you know, what is your miracle you're asking for? We're going to pray for it. We're going to receive it. And she was able to heal that thing that seemed like it was not going to be healable. And just, I would say it was a miracle. It was very miraculous, very activating. And, you know, like anything, I have full understanding that in order to work with the light, you have to understand that there's dark. And so it was there was some shadow work for some people to understand that they have to get through to reach their next level light. And they were able to do that. So I would say it was probably years of work in like 4 days. But
so the retreat is like a 4 days.
Yeah,
session.
it's a couple days because we go deep. the word retreat, I think maybe doesn't even do it justice, because there's a lot of retreats where you're going to go travel and relax and have fun. I'm like, maybe I should name it something else, because this is this is like, I mean, but it's great. It's beautiful. So that's why I call them activations. But this one's like a retreat activation because it's overnight.
Okay.
And the work starts before, I open the container, and I'm already doing energy work on behalf of everybody. And we continue after, because there's integration. You go home and you just received all these downloads and all of this work, and you're like, how do I integrate all this to my life? It's so important how you come back home after.
And then, so your next one is in Miami, right? So, okay.
Yeah, when is it? Then probably in November, I'll do one in the mountains. Still kind of playing around with where.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then, so how does people, if they're interested, there's a link that they can look into, and they can.
The best thing to do would just be, go to my website, because I have a page for the Temple of Light there, and it's more like I have a form, you fill it out, and you can be in the know when things are happening.
Okay, because if they go Temple of Light website, they will find all this information.
Yeah, we'll go to Salwa Owens. Okay. All the things are there. Yeah.
Perfect. Yeah, because I'm sure like people wanted to link into it, and then like what it is.
Yeah.
And this is the reason why I was asking, like, is there like a special like prerequisite? Like, do I have to be spiritual? Like, am I spiritual enough to do this? Because I would wonder, like my audience would wanted to know.
You have to be, I don't even like the word half, but a desire to receive and to know that there's more out there than what you currently know, an openness in the heart, a non-judgmental mind, and a desire to just step into your best self without judgment. It's really very easy, and a willingness to become pure. I do have preparation where it's like no alcohol for a couple of days, like don't eat this, like really prepare your vessel. So people that have the discipline to prepare is great. And my biggest vision for this really is that I want people to host their own Temple of Lights. Like, let's say, for example, you know women that are dear and near to your heart, and like, I want a ceremony with these women. So then we do something like for you and your women, because I like the privateness of people seeking it and setting a very safe space. So it's not with the Temple of Light retreats. I don't foresee or desire at the moment. This could change because it's always changing, but it's not like I want to do huge, traveling retreats and put it out there for everybody. I want to connect with the women where we have soul connection and we understand each other, and they have the same desire to help women in their life. And we set these up together, and I bring the medicine, and they help with the container. It's what I'm learning with my mission, that I really want to help activate the masses. It's not a one-person job. So there's so many wonderful, amazing humans that are in their own line of work, such as yourself, but that are open and want to also help others. So it's like, why not join forces?
So is that how you feel? Is that your mission now? Like, is that, you feel like that's what's calling you now?
That's what I was given when I went to Baja last summer to do Aya, to do off the grid. Like, it was literally very raw land. And my guides told me that was my mission, my intention for that. And I was like, that sounds really fierce, but scary.
Yeah.
They were like,
especially you have
my intention was to receive my divine inheritance so I can help activate the masses. And I was given that. And I was like, are we sure? Because that sounds really big. And then I sat with it, and then I started, processing it through my mind. I'm like, oh, this could be really great. Divine inheritance. I'm going to get a crown, cake, like a harp with angels.
Yeah.
That is not what it was. That was
not what it was.
No, it was 3 days, a 3-day, like, intense, energetic initiation of, like, being plugged into my star energy, wherever I'm from. And it was like electricity. It was intense. And they told me, you're going to be going through an initiation. You have free will, and you can choose not to. At any given point, I could have said no, but then I would not have been initiated into my star medicine. I could do a whole 2-hour talk about what that 3-day initiation was like. But given that intention.
But even doing those process, like this 3-day.
Yeah.
Like, you didn't give up. Because like they were saying, you will have choices.
Yeah. They really respect your free will, even when it comes to serving. It's like, you have free will. You don't need to complete this. And it's not for the weak. And I know I probably could have tapped out, be like, no, I'm done. Thank you. That was fun. But no. But it was like, I knew that at the end of that, I was going to get to rise into a bigger mission. And the second day is when I had 3 energetic deaths in one 8-hour night. And
that's what you were saying. You only met I have 4 deaths.
Yeah, the fourth was recently, and that was even more intense. But it was like, I don't even know if more intense. It was just different. They're always intense. But I knew, I just had a knowing, because I was being guided by me somewhere else, that like at the end of this is when you really get to rise into the mission. And so, and I'm pretty strong. Like I feel like I have the endurance for it. I know it's not for everybody, but the work that I'm able to bring now to people through my light code work required me to kind of push the threshold of my energetic body. And it took a while, even after I was twitching for a while, my heart was doing like things. I mean, and you know, Tony, my partner, he's great for helping me ground. And he's like, I just don't even know if people know like just how hard what you do is. I'm like, I don't need them to know. All I need them to want is to receive it. But it was definitely a test to the very core. And I know that for me to even receive that was a gift. So I am not anything but grateful for it.
Well, I know, because I like, they were saying any moment you could choose like, oh, I tap out, I'm good.
Yeah.
But for you to decide to go forward with it, to receive this as a gift, but it's such a big mission.
Yeah, it is a big mission. Thank you for saying that. There's a lot of parts about it. There's a lot of moments when I have meetings with my light council and we discuss the mission.
Okay, I just want to make this clear with the audience. When you say your spiritual team and light council, can you explain what that means?
Yes, sure. I mean, hey, if you're asking, I can share, or I can share parts. So I used to work really with my spirit guides. That was a big part of it. But as of recently, 2 months ago, I got, we'll say, upgraded. And I now know what, like, I'm working with. They introduce themselves as the Universal Council of Light. And now these energies are, I mean, I can't even go into it because I don't know how much I could really share right now, but I do have like work meetings with them and I get my assignments and I'm working on some channeled text through them or they're working through me. And so, yeah, when I say them, that's what I'm talking about.
It's okay.
Just the Universal Council of Light.
I've just made that clear because the audience was like, who's she talking about? Where she get the spiritual team or guidance? What's just like
I'm not schizo, I promise. No, I'm kidding. It's, you know what? It's kind of
if you guys think she's schizo, then you guys gonna think I'm schizo because obviously I figured that's what people are gonna think. That's why I was like, so I think we might want to explain.
There's so many people that are so ready for receiving more, understanding bigger work. Like some of the work that I've started with them, and I don't think it'll be out there for 2 or 3 years. But I'm like, wow, this is really important. Wow, thank you for choosing me to bring it to humanity. And wow, why has no one brought this out? Like this seems like this should have been known. There's so much. And so a big part of it is that ego gets in the way and they want to work through people that have really made their ego their amigo. You know, it's like, I understand that none of this, it's not that I'm so special or that I have this gift. It's that I came with a mission and a responsibility and I'm doing the work so I can bring it forth.
I know. That's what I like, the fact that, you know, what you're doing is remembering, right? So it's like we all have that gift. It's just like you just have to remember it as part of your DNA, your cellular, right? So for what you're doing is actually just let them remember. What they have. It's
activating remembrance because we came here and we chose all these things that fulfill our personality to learn and to grow, but our job is really to start shedding all those things to return back to light. And so anytime you activate remembrance, you actually simplify your life a little bit. And I look at my life too. I'm like, wow, I just redid my website and I don't have to bring fashion along. And I just felt so light. I'm like, oh my God, this feels so light and powerful. And there's other things that I shed, but then they're being replaced by like things that are more pure, powerful, potent. And it's just this journey of everything returning to light. And it's beautiful, but it requires making the time to activate remembrance and going deep. I love
the fact that you say everything we turn to light, you know, and then that sometimes when you get rid of stuff, it's actually bringing something more powerful.
Yeah.
And then I think I was going to say, wasn't that scary for you? Because you have a very successful fashion line.
Yeah.
And you just telling me, well, now I have a bigger mission. I need to focus on
Yeah.
that. Would that ever like make you like, do I really gonna do this? Like,
well, yeah.
you
So
know?
funny story. So I produced this show called Fierce in the City, and it's fashion to live music. And that was a big part of my business from 2014 till 2023. And 2 weeks before the show in 2023, my spirit team told me, this is the last one and you need to announce it before. And I was like, what? It's the last one?
But I'm doing so well.
But, you know, and I felt my soul, when I received that guidance, I felt, okay, like I actually was relieved. I'm like, all right, because I knew that I had fulfilled whatever that 12-year of making that show was preparing me for. And I was excited. I felt this weight off, but I was guided to share it on the news. I had a live interview to promote the show, and I was guided that would be a great time to share it publicly. And so that's when I really took an act of faith. I was like, yeah, this is the last one. And they asked me like, why? And I was like, well, I just received guidance, and you have to know when something's complete, and this is complete. And so I think that was the first big step in starting to let go of my fashion business and letting it evolve to something more. And then this last couple months, redoing my website, relaunching everything, I'm like, I'm not even going to bring fashion along. It just feels like mass. I mean, it feels like matter when I'm really just trying to do all things light. It doesn't serve, but it's still a part of me. I'm always going to be fashionable because I love it.
Oh,
it's a physical expression.
Yeah.
So now I get to use it in a bigger way. I get to deck myself out to go on my speaking engagements because I plan to do a lot more public speaking. And it's just that I don't have to do fashion the way I thought I had to for a while. Like that served. Now we can graduate it. Thank you. Next. And I think that also sets an example for no attachment, life of no attachments. It was never about the fashion itself. It was the journey of creating the business.
I love that. That's beautiful. Okay, everybody, did you hear that? It's never about the fashion. It's about the journey to creating that.
Whatever anybody's working on.
Yeah.
I think that a lot of people put a lot of pressure, and I've built this thing. I have to keep going. How about you release the thing and you go beyond the story of the creating of the thing, and you look at yourself as the magnificent creator you are and see what you want to create next.
That's beautiful. I was going to say, what would be the advice you give like other women, or the younger self?
Yeah.
But I felt like you just did.
Yeah.
I don't know. Did you have...
Yeah. And for women too, especially, we have this like nurturing need. Our womb is so powerful. It's such a creative powerhouse, but we also have this energetic core that when we birth our children, it's this attachment. So I would say for women, the importance of knowing that once you birth a creation, you can cut the energetic cord and let it have life. And it's okay to go on to creating the next. Because a lot of women hold on to their creations way longer as their source of fuel. It's like, I am the life force energy behind it. If I don't give it everything, it will not succeed. And they do that with their children too.
Yeah.
It's like, just know when to cut the energetic cord. That is love.
And that is love.
Because that says, I trust so much in you. I believe in you. I don't need to have this cord attachment.
Lady, that's another one. That's another one. At least for me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's hard because we want to be there for everything. We literally create from the heart so deeply that it's like, release it.
Yeah, even with my career, I always
Yeah.
say that's like my second baby. And
Yeah.
I'm sure with your fashion line,
Yeah, when I was
that was your baby.
when I was taking inventory of all the things that I'm planning to gift, I had this like download of finding somebody that I could gift all my inventory to that's like a younger, aspiring fashion business person. And I already reached out to the person that came to mind, and she was like, oh my God, this is an answered prayer. So I'm going to meet with her when I get back from my next retreat. And I'm just going to gift her everything. Like I could have liquidated it, but I'm like, you know what? To gift it to someone so that they can give it life, that's more of a gift than whatever I could sell it for at this point. Like I just want to continue to give it life through someone else.
Oh, that's beautiful.
Yeah. But yeah, I definitely had my, ugly Kim Kardashian tear moments when I was taking my inventory. I'm like, oh my God, I remember when I was doing that. And when I was finding my manufacturer, and my kids are like, Mom, can I keep this for the Salwa Owens Museum? My middle child's starting. I'm like, Jacob, no, we don't need to keep all that. Like, but it was, so I would say like, have your nostalgic moment but don't get emotionally attached. Like, you have to honor the completion and like detach.
It's just, thank you. That's such a great advice. But okay, so now we know we're letting that go, right? And then the detachment, and that's actually true form of love. And it was true because I can see why you're giving this young, the next person, because you're allowing her, like helping her create another life to it, right? So, and that means so much more than just selling it. Yeah, because you continue creating life.
It's like giving her like inspiration and fueling her dream. And how is that not a gift to me? If I truly believe in collective consciousness and oneness, like I'm actually gifting myself, you know?
Yeah. So what would be your next project, like right now? The retreat and the Temple of Light?
Yeah.
So that would just be your main...
Well, the Temple of Light, so with that, where that's going is I have different retreat activations. And then I'm also going to create a master soul. Because there's so many masterminds out there, but there's not... I'm creating a master soul where I take on... I think 12 is going to be the max per master soul. And we really go deep into some mystery teachings, into like, I want to talk about things that maybe some people really want to learn, but they're not out there, like soul travel and like really like deep, mysterious teachings and becoming the master of your soul.
You're right. Cause there's a lot of master for business side of it, right? But I don't see, at least for me, I haven't seen master soul.
No. Tony's like, you need to trademark that. I'm like, oh, well, it's going to be but that will be through the Temple of Light, because it's essentially, I will call it a mystery school, but I think the teachings need to be.
School sounds cool.
Yeah. It's kind of like teachings that have been underground for a while, but that need to be surfaced.
Is that part of like light coding? That also, can you explain to your audience what light coding is? Because I would think that would be part of your
Well, the thing with light codes, I mean, essentially it's our energetic blueprint and it's our light codes in our DNA. And a lot of it is really not meant to be understood at the cognitive. So I'm also a little bit unclear when I see people starting to write books about it, because what's been shown to me is that it's not meant to be really understood in the human brain. And when I channel it and speak it, if I was to even know what I was saying, I don't know what I'm saying. It's the codes, and I feel the energy, and you can actually sometimes like see the energy, and it's like, it's another level. But it's not meant to be really understood. It's meant to be received and known that you are just receiving it. It's like when you plug in your cable and it's running electricity, the cable's job is not to understand all the electricity. It's just to be the conduit of it. So that's kind of my role really with that. And I always have, my biggest responsibility is to stay pure and in my light so that I can bring forth the highest frequency of work to you. But it's not to always understand all of it in my brain. My human brain would not even. It's a lot of information in very like quick little downloads.
Okay. So people, that's what light coding is.
Light code activating.
Light code activating. So, and you're right. I agree what you were saying. It's not something you can, and you're right, there's a book about it, but it's
yeah. And there's, it's good to have an understanding, but
it's when you
can't even, I don't know that you can really, it can't be taught. It can't be taught. And I know when I first got activated into doing it, it was another time that I got instructed to go off the grid by myself. So I got this house in the mountains and I did my own ceremony, and I was outside with the stars, and a lot of deep spiritual work. And then all of a sudden it was like, I felt the electricity coming up from my feet down my crown, and all of a sudden like just out my mouth. And it was like hours of transmissions, and they take so much energy, and they just chugging water, and my guides being like, if you're tired, you can stop. I'm like, no, I'm not tired. Cause it's so like my medicine. Like, I'm like, this is my star language. Like, I know this, but it was like, I mean, I don't think I couldn't have signed up for a class to do that. Like,
it just came out, right?
Yeah.
It's come naturally.
Yeah. It comes out, and the fingers transmit energy too. It's like codes.
Yeah. Okay.
Like codes.
Well, people, I don't know what to tell you. I mean, she just said this is not something.
It has to be experienced.
Right.
So I can't wait. We'll do another one when you and I work together and you experience it. We'll have to have another chat because, it's like anybody that's received it, it's the same thing. You can't really talk about it. It has to be experienced, but for the right reasons, for reverence to the work, not just because you want to see some cool magic looking thing.
Yeah. That's beautiful. Thank you, Salwa. Thank you. And then I love the fact that we had this time to catch up, and we're going to have dinner after this. So I can't wait. But literally, you were right. It's just like I'm meeting a different you, but it's still you. And to me, you're always amazing. And then it's just like you carry so many versions of you. And each version is another step to a better version of yourself. And it's like you would just want to bring to light. And then I think when you come to this light, you actually bring so much more power. And then you're actually helping so many more people. And I love that. So thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah.
I so appreciate it. You're amazing too. And your openness. Oh my gosh. I was not expecting to go into like
I know.
Much of this, you're like, let's talk about this. Let's talk about this.
And that's why I was like, if people are going to think you crazy, so they're going to think I'm the same way. I hope to inspire all the crazies. And, I will say this too with the different versions talk. We're all multidimensional, but a lot of people are not awakened to that yet. So the more you evolve, the more you're able to tap into the multidimensional versions of yourself. So that's a big part of my work too in ceremony, that I'm able to go into whatever dimension the codes from the person that's ready to receive them is and bring them. And so that's why I say I'm a multidimensional light being, because that is just literally my work. That is not an ego thing. That is just like, well, that's what I do. And it's just service. Yeah. And I'm just in service to God and others. It's really not about me. Yeah. Beautiful. Thank you so much for coming to the show.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
And everyone, I'm going to put your link on. So, definitely look in Temple of Light for your retreat. I think that would be amazing.
Yeah.
And I'm going to look into that. So that would be great.
I know you should host one.
We definitely
and be on my podcast too. I have a podcast. So I'm going to have you on my podcast.
We definitely, and I would tell people the experience of it. Okay.